Good? Alright, 5, 6, 7, 8. Alright, personality mentor, life coach, spiritual visionary, clinical hypnotherapist, certified life coach, NLP practitioner, advanced angel card reader and practitioner, aura photographer. That's how your website says it. So what is this aura photography? First of all, welcome to Sangeeta Dasgupta. Welcome, Sangeeta.
Thank you, Akshay, for inviting me. I'm always very happy and eager to talk about these sciences.
That's definitely wonderful. That's apparently that we're going to discover today and talk a little bit about.
Okay.
So, alright, so I looked you up over Google at sangeetadasgupta.in, and the website says pretty much about your career and whatever you're pursuing at the moment and the professional aspects that you have covered so far. So it all looks pretty much in, there's a big stack of, skills that you've mastered, I would say. And apparently, you've become a more of a well-known, all across India as well as abroad, big-time healer. I've seen your views from France. They have been your, clients from France. One has been from, I think, Belgium, and a couple of them from India as well.
Yes.
So you're pretty well known, all across. So it's definitely wonderful to have you.
Thank you.
So. We wanted to start off with clinical hypnotherapy, but initially before we move there, could you help us with a little bit of background so that we can set some tone to the story as such?
So, Akshay, I started all this as a journey about 20 years back. Journey which was very soulful in understanding who am I, where am I going, how can I make people discover their own selves, their own inner selves, and just be happy. We are all looking for happiness.
Absolutely.
And that is what my journey is all about. So it is creating a revolution wherein every person is happy, joyful, and is able to live their life to the fullest.
All right. Yeah. So how did you come across this, path of healing as such, from being in MBA executive, HR executive for such a long while? How did you come across this path? This is something you had a little bit of experience. I think something happened with you, or this was something you heard about, with some of your friends, or you heard about somewhere. How did it happen?
So the journey is very long back, way back in 1997, with my college in MBA, wherein it was affiliated to the Sringeri Mutt.
Okay.
And we had to meditate every morning before the classes.
Right.
And it so happened that it became a habit to meditate every morning and then go off to the classes. And I taught the subject wherein, I was just a novice.
All right.
Going forward.
And the subject was?
And the subject was Masters in Business Administration and in HR and Marketing.
All right.
Post that, of course, I went into a corporate and the journey in the corporate was going on. Yes.
HR in marketing,
yes,
okay.
Yes.
Right. There was a pretty specific specialization, so we'll talk about it later.
Sure. So going on forward from there, life was wonderful, but I wanted to understand again the deeper meaning, because when you are meditating, you are looking for a lot of answers within and without. And in the year 2002, my father took on to be very critically sick, wherein again it was a journey of healing to bring him back to normalcy, bring him back to good health, back to a normal state. And it was almost at 21 days he was on the ventilator. And I needed to do something. It was beyond prayer, it was beyond apprehension that I needed to do to get him back to a complete state of well-being. And I was able to do.
Okay.
And then the journey of healing began. I first connected with, one of...
What was his condition? What was your father's condition?
He had a multi-organ failure after a simple fever, which struck onto his brain. And doctors were also unable to diagnose. And when doctors are unable to diagnose, it is a state wherein doctors say, okay, we are trying our level best. However, you continue to pray. And I'm sure every one of us in our lives would have come across one such experience.
I believe so.
Yeah. And that is the time when we rarely look in towards God, towards some higher power. But then, it's what can I do at that moment to come out of that situation? And that was where my journey actually began.
Alright.
My search began. What else can be done?
So basically it started with understanding or maybe healing your father initially and getting to know a little bit how can you improve his life.
Yes.
And he might have had a lot of impact on you and you're pretty close to him.
Yeah, he is my role model.
And what was he something relevant to what you're doing at the moment? I mean,
Not at all.
Okay.
He is absolutely into the field of academics.
Okay.
He was into the Department of Education, retired as Joint Secretary. He was in the Central Vigilance Commission. So altogether a very technical kind of a person. An educationist, I must say.
Educationist.
Yeah.
Fantastic. When the last time I came to your office, I saw a whole wall full of certificates and degrees hanging all across. So, is there a Dr. Sangeeta or is just Sangeeta yet?
No, a therapist is not yet certified as a doctor. A doctor can be a therapist, but a therapist is a person who has been certified with certain alternative or complementary therapies which are recognized by the Government of India.
Okay. Alright. And then you're also working with Govt of India for some aromatherapies, for some, I think they have been tie-ups, I think.
So there has been a certification course from the Ministry of Flavour and Fragrance.
Flavor and fragrance.
As we all know that Kannauj is a center of aromatherapy.
Okay.
So it has been affiliated and it is the Ministry of Government of India, Ministry of Flavour and Fragrance to be very specific. And they basically help all the small scale industries to flourish in the area of essences.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know such an industry exists.
Yes, it does. We all eat and we put flavors.
Right.
So Haldiram's, Bikaner Wala, all these outlets put food flavors. Then we
They're all from Kannauj?
Essentially, not exactly. The hub is Kannauj, but there are many farmers who are growing flowers from which aromas are extracted.
Okay, fantastic. So you must have a really good collection back at your place. I mean, what kind of aromas? Are there? Is there a specific healing aroma? I think there is of that kind as well.
So Akshay, it goes back to Lord Shiva.
Okay.
His mantra, which is the Mahamrityunjay mantra.
I'm glad we have him here.
Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushti Vardhanam.
Okay.
So Sugandhim means the essence of the flowers, the flavor, the fragrance, which basically brings you back to good health. So all the essences brings back to your normal state of well-being. If you are stressed, if you are anxious, if you are feeling low, if you're lethargic, if you are having any kind of a pain, a headache or body ache, you use flower oil and essential oil and you come back to your complete state of well-being.
Alright. So, okay. So there must be some medicinal and pretty much medicated herbs that way. You needs to be certain process, you need to follow certain process to extract that essence and get into the healing.
Yeah.
Again, but that's a long process. Now, what is this aura photography? I'm pretty conscious about this thing. I haven't heard this term before.
So our body is made up of protons and neutrons, and we have energy in us. So the law of thermodynamics basically say that energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It is just there. Its forms change. So whatever we are thinking, our thoughts basically creates an aura all around us.
Right.
Okay? And this aura is the one which basically has a kind of a telescopic or microscopic
Please come in, Payal.
atoms.
That's fine.
Which tells us how healthy we are.
Okay.
So if we take a picture using a normal camera and then convert it using a software, we see an aura of colors all around us. From that colors, we basically figure out what is going on in your mind, your thoughts, and then your body. It's like an X-ray. So we all know and see about the rainbow. Rainbow has Vibgyor, that is the violet, indigo, green, yellow, orange, and red.
Absolutely.
These 7 colors make the aura. We have 7 chakras, like the energy vortices inside our body, in the spinal cord, as well as the third eye and the head. And these are the colors of the aura,
Okay.
which you see in the color of the picture as well.
So are there any specific colors that your body emits when it is in a specific state, and how do you understand that?
Yes, absolutely. So we have an internal aura and we have also an external aura. Now, if we look at the internal aura, that makes more sense to an aura reader, because if you see dark spots, dark black, or you see maroon color, these are the concern areas. That means the energy is getting stagnated there, it's not moving there,
Right.
and there is disease which might affect that particular area.
Okay. So that helps understand the overall, spread of energy in your body. And
Overall thought process, basically.
Okay.
What is the thought going on in the person?
and how does the energy get stuck in a single place?
So, okay, this is interesting. So, you are thinking at all times.
Right.
Mind is like a monkey and it's getting all kinds of thoughts. Now, whenever we have positive thoughts, they are free flowing. Whenever we have negative thoughts and we keep on thinking in a repetitive mode, they get stagnated. Now, thoughts goes on to emotions, emotions go on to energy, and energy goes on to the physical body. So, wherever the emotions, which is the energy in motion, goes and romances your body, the dark spot or the maroon spot just gets stagnated out there, and disease starts to happen at that area.
Okay. When emotion stops, the energy stops.
The energy
stops
emotion
moving.
stops at that particular
Okay.
area.
And how does that happen? I mean, why does the energy stop?
Yeah, because it stagnates. If you're thinking a particular thought for a period of time, which is redundant. So if you keep thinking, oh, I am a failure, I am a failure,
Okay.
or people don't love me. At all times, my boss is just, stagnating my promotion.
Right.
So if you're thinking the same thought over a period of time, it stagnates.
All right. And it creates, it might create a problem in any part of your body, or are there any specific parts of your body that are prone to it?
So it depends on what kind of thoughts you are thinking. Say if you are very confused and you're not able to take a decision, you will start to have a migraine.
Okay.
If you are feeling very negative about life, you are thinking that there is no sweetness in your life, then probably you might get a diabetes. Okay? So on and so forth, depending upon what is your thought process and which part of your body it stagnates, disease develops.
Diabetes, really? I mean,
Yes.
that's a very far-fetched.
Don't you crave for sweets?
I do not.
People who are diabetic have
They
been
do.
asked to stop sweets and stay away from sweets. So they crave for sweets.
Okay.
So the underlying fact is that I am missing sweetness in my life.
Okay.
So we go on to the core issue, the core thought.
Okay. And the sweetness in life means the life in you, or the love in your life, or basically
it might be different.
the energy in your life, or how do you say that?
Okay. I'm sure, Akshay, there might be people in your life whom you feel very sweet about. Your mother, okay, and people around you who talk to you very nicely, very sweetly. If you are in an environment in your family or in an organization where people are always demeaning you, not saying good things about you, then how would you start feeling? You will start feeling bitter.
Yeah.
And that feeling of bitterness is going to stagnate in your kidneys.
All right. And then what?
And if a particular thought stagnates in a particular organ for a period of 3 to 6 months, it develops into a physical disease.
I never thought of it that way.
Yeah, it is.
All right, it gives me a new perspective to look into things. So what you understand is you should not stagnate over a thought for, to let it become a poison.
Absolutely.
So, negative thought basically that becomes poison.
Yes.
Negative.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You're feeling of depression, anxiety, and all that. Okay. Cool. And to fight these illnesses, you are also pretty much, that's why you got into clinical hypnotherapy and.
Correct.
Right, that's how you got. So, clinical hypnotherapy is. In India, it's a very diabolical term because the Babas that have existed before you have pretty much ruined the business. Okay, they might have had the clarity, or they might have gained the science and the clarity about it, and it has been misused in a massive way, as far as I have understood. At least in India, maybe I don't know if the West is pretty much aware about this kind of concern that exists, but this has actually demeanored the profession. So, how do you think? Always Indians come across with a situation to make it worse. Everybody's trying to better it, but we are always trying to worsen it out. So, how are you planning to deal with those kind of, feelings or concerns that people generally have, when in a very public way? How do you address this?
Okay. So first of all, I would like to start with saying I'm very proud to be an Indian. All right? And we need to understand a particular term or a practice in order to then go on to see what is happening around in the world. So hypnosis basically comes in from the Greek term, which means nervous sleep. Okay. And nervous sleep is a term which is paradoxical. That means if you are nervous, you are not able to sleep. You are very nervous. If you are sleeping, then you cannot be nervous. You are peacefully sleeping.
Absolutely.
Nervous sleep is a term which basically gives the situation of your body or your mind where you are half awake and half asleep. Which means that your body is completely in a state of rest, but your mind is very much aware. Rather, it's in a heightened state of awareness. Now, we basically use this term hypnosis as hypnotherapy in order to work for people who are coming to a therapist willingly to work upon conditions of their life.
But the dilemma is people do not understand that they are in every day you come across a state of hypnosis every day. I felt that today itself I was going through some of the documentaries and going through this stuff, trying to understand the subject as a total, and there were a couple of examples that the guys gave, that when you're driving somewhere and you're just zoned out and eventually you reach a place but you do not know how you got there. That is a term kind of hypnosis as well, and then we do not understand
Very right. Yeah. That's where I'm coming back to from where you started your first question.
Right.
So definitely very rightly put. When we are listening to music, we are in a state of trance. When we are watching our favorite movie, we are in a state of trance. When we are chanting, when we are praying, we are in a state of trance. So in a normal state, we are in a state of trance in a lot of areas of our life naturally. But when it happens in a controlled environment, in a clinical setup, then it is known as hypnotherapy. Now, hypnotherapy is of two types basically. We say Western hypnosis and Eastern hypnosis. Now again, not to go with the region, however, Eastern hypnosis is also done with the people who are coming from the history, wherein they used to work for the autocrats, that is for the king, and for protecting the autocracy, they used to work in controlling people's mind. Which of course, this technique is known by a lot of siddhas.
To protect the autocracy.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because the king wanted to be a king and...
Forever,
Yeah, absolutely. The power needed to be in his hands. Then of course it came also with the siddhas, wherein they also used this for various practices for the well-being of the society. Okay. However, when it goes into the hands of people who misuse it, and like every science has a dark face to it, this science also have a dark face to it. In Eastern hypnosis, wherein people do stage hypnosis, people do a lot of areas wherein they dupe you, like you said rightly, the babas and all, who are not very ethically practicing it. So of course they might capture your mind, and then they might take things away from you or do things to you in a certain way. So to put an end to that practice, we basically practice Western hypnotherapy, and we do this with hypnotherapists who are certified from either IMDA, which is International Medical Dental Association, and British Medical Association also has given certification to it. And in India also, in the year 2002, it is completely recognized in the Ministry of Ayush. So when we work with clinical hypnotherapists who work with willing clients in the areas wherein they want to bring a change, like increasing your confidence, increasing your self-esteem, working with your, the depressed one, working inside of you to bring a change outside. So working with stress reduction, also working with past lives, healing through your age regression therapies. So a lot of areas which are scientifically tested on the masses and figured out that it really brings a positive change is clinical hypnotherapy.
As I'm listening to all these, ways you are explaining the utilization of clinical hypnotherapy, I'm also comprehending an opposite of exactly same happening. If somebody tries to utilize it in a certain way, like in a demeaning way, or to demean somebody, or to have an impact on somebody in a in a pretty much a negative way, as in, that is something pretty abundant in society, that we eventually call as maybe black magic, that is sometimes addressed in that way. Maybe we are not clear about it, so we address it in a very wrong manner. But again, hypnosis is a part of all those kind of occult practices that we understand still exist. So, how do you break that paradigm? How do you, deal with that?
This is very interesting because we've been doing this through our institute, which is known as ACA. ACA was earlier known as California Hypnosis Institute of India. And we are basically working with a curriculum wherein we create hypnotherapists. So our vision is to create hypnotherapists in every household. So what are we working upon? We are working upon creating, a knowledge and awareness, the wisdom about what is hypnotherapy, how it can be used in a positive way, how you can work with knowing your mind, how you can work with the people and scientists who have already researched this. So if you go global, you will see HMI, which is the Hypnosis Motivation Institute by Dr. John Kappas. And now his son, Dr. John Kappas, is running it. So we basically understand how relationships are working, what can we do in order to work relationships together, how we can let go of the negative thought patterns which human mind creates. So we are creating an education and awareness amongst the masses by not only practicing hypnotherapy, but teaching hypnotherapy anyone starting from age 18 till 60, 65, 70 to whenever the person is open to learn.
Wonderful. And what should be the pocket that one needs to look into when getting on to this courses of hypnotherapy?
The hypnosis courses basically are ICA gives is level 1 to level 5. However, level 1 is for everyone and anyone, and it just comes about to 10,750 bucks. So it's very much affordable. In fact, before level 1, there is a level 0 curriculum, which is only of 3 hours, wherein we give all the facts and myths of hypnotherapy. We teach about the theory of the mind, how our mind functions. We also tell them how to practice self-hypnosis. So it's not that the other person always is doing hypnosis on you, which is hetero-hypnosis. You can work on your own self also to empower yourself. So hypnosis is very powerful when you do it in a self-hypnosis pattern as well.
That is indeed a very, very interesting thing that I came across the other day. I was listening to this guy on the YouTube or something, and he mentioned that 5 minutes before you sleep, you can just put yourself into a hypnotic state and maybe visualize yourself to be a certain way, the way you might want to see yourself in the next 5 years, 10 years, whatever it is. That was the form of hypnosis he was suggesting.
Yes.
Now, my question is, that is one form. I would like to understand a little more about it as well. But if there's a challenge to sleep nowadays with the rotational work that is ongoing in the public areas nowadays. It is very difficult to get a proper sleep or put yourself to sleep is a very big challenge. So I would like to understand how to fix or how to address both of these things. The self-hypnosis as well as is it just to picture yourself, or is there something else that can be done? And can you understand a little bit about the sleep matters?
Absolutely. In fact, you brought these two things very much together, because insomnia, which is sleeplessness, medically what we call as insomnia, is very well worked upon with self-hypnosis as well. And of course, when you go to a therapist, you go to the root cause of insomnia. So talking about self-hypnosis is basically working in organizing all your thoughts in your conscious mind. In day-to-day life, all your thoughts are scattered. So imagine you have thoughts of what is going on in your office, you have thoughts of what is going on in your home, you have thoughts about what are you planning 5 years down the line, then you have thoughts about your children, your parents. So you have so many thoughts in your conscious mind. In self-hypnosis, we teach a pattern how to, just bring all these thoughts together and organize them using your body. So you basically use your body in relaxing. So we do something known as progressive relaxation. We have certain keywords which we use to open up our subconscious mind, and by a certain procedure, a person is able to learn self-hypnosis in say about an hour's time. It is very powerful. Then you can give suggestions to your mind in a state wherein you are completely relaxed, and these suggestions, when repeated 3, 7, 11 or 21 times for a period of almost 21 days, wherein your brain creates a neural pathway, you are able to change your life. You are able to empower yourself for whatever you are looking for a change to be. So not only before going to sleep, because of course sleep you always say because you're in a natural state of hypnosis. But with self-hypnosis, anytime you can give positive suggestions, and of course you will see a huge lot of change in your surroundings, your health, your prosperity factor, your relationships. A lot of areas can be worked upon with empowering yourself through self-hypnosis.
That will be practicing it regularly.
Yes, regularly.
Every day.
Yes.
Half an hour before you sleep, you practice it.
Yes.
And what you do is think of what eventually, do you want to, is bothering you or something you want to achieve? What should you think about basically at that time?
So self-hypnosis is usually used for self-empowerment. Because for any issues, you go to a therapist. Now for self-empowerment, of course, you work upon areas, as I said, on health.
How do I picture it when I'm sleeping? How do I see it? Could you help me with an example?
Absolutely. So in self-hypnosis, you give a positive suggestion after calming down your mind and your body.
Okay.
When you calm down your mind and your body, you perceive that change in your mind either as a vision, that means as a visual, or as a thought, or as a feeling. So whatever your mind perceives it, you are able to picturize that, visualize that, feel it, know it, hear it, and repeat it. So by the law of repetition, like we keep chanting mantras 108 times, so by the law of repetition, self-hypnosis changes the way your mind has formed a particular pattern.
But again, my question was, how would you organize the thoughts to
That is the technique you have to learn, Akshay.
Okay, 10,000. Can we get a check of 10,000?
No, self-hypnosis, definitely level zero. Therapists usually
Basically, what I was looking for is a quick pointer, to sleep early. That is one thing that I suffer myself.
All
so
right.
it's a personal question, I would say, for me.
Okay.
I have a difficult time sleeping.
All right. So in that case, you can just focus on your breath. Okay. Focus on your breath for say about 21 counts. Okay. Just feel your breath going in and breath going out. Okay. If the thoughts are coming, let them come. Welcome them. And then bring back your mind on your thought. Once you are calmer, all right, just tell yourself that I accept myself the way I am.
All right. Okay.
Just say that and see the change.
I accept myself the way I am.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Just say it for 21 times after calming yourself. And you can come in for a session.
Yeah,
Definitely.
certainly. I'll try.
You can learn self-hypnosis.
Yeah.
And definitely insomnia is one major part of life which can be healed. One more thing to share about insomnia, going a little technical. When you sleep, that means you're in a state of subconscious. Your body is resting and your mind is resting. When your mind does not rest, that means your body cannot sleep. That means a part of your consciousness is not in the here and now. It is going either to the events of the past, which might not be very good, which are traumatic, or it is going somewhere in the future. It's not here, aligned with your body. And when your consciousness is not present, it's just traveling, how can you sleep?
So, in this situation, would you recommend hypnosis or meditation? Because hypnosis, again, the fluidity, and meditation is the present. So, in this situation, how do I go about it?
So, meditation definitely is a very wonderful tool. However, for meditation, you need to build a discipline. Okay? So, if you build a discipline of meditating every day for 10 minutes, you will definitely see that your brain waves are slowing down. You are becoming more mindful. Your thoughts are coming to the present moment, and you will be able to sleep better. However, that needs practice. Okay? With hypnosis, you go to a therapist. The therapist directly goes into your subconscious space, fixes you with what is troubling you, puts the suggestion and what can be achieved in say about a 1 hour session. Probably with meditation, you will have to build it over a period of certain months. Yes. It is often said that one session of hypnosis is equal to 100 sessions of meditations.
Could be.
Yeah.
There might be a few genuine ladies challenging that norm as well, but again, we can talk
meditation definitely, because I have been meditating for past 20 years now, so definitely meditation is one thing which will help you.
Okay, certainly. I'll try to figure a couple of sessions and try to see how
Sure,
it
Akshay.
can work out in the best of ways for me. Alright, you have been awarded the Best Holistic Healer and Trainer of 2017. So how did that come about? I mean, what was the experience of being awarded as one of the best in your field? I mean, that must be really out of the box.
So this also came to me as a surprise because it was in the years 2014 till 2017. I was traveling a lot in my quest of going to people to the grassroots level. So I did a lot of workshops in Kolkata, I did a lot of workshops in Mumbai, Ahmedabad, Delhi, and in the areas wherein I was connecting with a lot of people from all sorts of life. And therein I got a call from this organization in Mumbai who basically connect with spiritual healers and practitioners and trainers who are best in their field. And that's how it came, yeah.
Fantastic. And who were you, who other pros are there in your field who you really respect and admire, that you have worked very closely with?
So my teacher, Yuvraj Kabadia, I think is one of the best teachers and one of the best clinical hypnotherapists all across the globe.
Dr.
Definitely.
Kabadia.
Dr. Kabadia, definitely.
Okay.
And my teacher, Nayaswami Dhyanaji, who's my meditation teacher, is also my mentor in meditation and following the life mindfully.
Okay.
So I think these two are wonderful. However, if you go into the realm of clinical hypnotherapist as well as if you go on to various healers, there are many. To name a few, Rajesh Singh is very good in clinical hypnotherapy. If you go on into the field of angel therapy, my teacher Charles Virtue is a wonderful angel therapist. Then if you go on... Charles Virtue. If you go on in past life regression and tarot reading, Dr. Trupti Jain is doing a very, very good work.
This, since you brought up this topic about tarot card reading and angel cards, they seem pretty much of, I don't know, it seems like more of a trickster thing, to be honest with you. That's how I feel. Honestly, that's how I feel, when you look at angel cards and tarot cards. Because you can feel good about it, you can feel bad about it, you can, there is something just generic. There are like 6 billion people in this planet, alright? So, at least 500 million are gonna have the same sun sign, alright? Out of this 500 million, there would be 50,000 people for whom that prediction might be right. And those 50,000 people again influence 500,000 people. So, it is a very big trajectory that goes to and fro, and I don't know if this really is something we all are so crazy about, because eventually I am pretty crazy about my horoscope as well. Every morning at 6:30 there's a mail that drops in, I watch my horoscope and I analyze my day accordingly, how I need to plan it. But again, I'm very not sure if that's how I need to go about it, or is that really makes sense.
Okay, can we take a 2-minute break?
Certainly.
I'm really very hot.
Okay. So, we're talking about?
Yes, Akshay. So, talking about card reading. Now, of course, talking about tarot card reading, because tarot reading people know all across the world. People usually think that tarot are prediction cards. However, it's not about prediction. It's basically about gauging your energy. The other set of cards people use are angel cards. Now again, these cards when we use, we do not use to predict your future. It is to gauge your energy and give you a guidance through your intuition. So it's just a visual which you basically have. And it's the mastery of the person who is doing the reading with intuition, with guidance, that you tell that, okay, this might be good for you, this might not be good for you. You need to do these things in order to set things right for your future in terms of health, in terms of finances, in terms of relationships.
So tarot and angel cards basically tell you about the current status of your energy.
Your energy, where are you placed out of, what are you operating out of?
What is the situational occurrence that is ongoing in your life?
Absolutely. Right now? And based on this, what might happen if you venture into a new business, if you venture into a new job or a relationship, this might work for you, this may not work for you. What else can be done in order to create this more fulfilling? So it gives you a lot of guidance. So it's not like people who believe, or not like tricking you into a situation, because the cards are open. It's basically like viewing a painting. Okay, in a gallery, in an art gallery. So different people perceive a painting differently. The person who's the painter definitely perceives it differently. The person who's viewing it perceives it differently.
Absolutely.
But the basic core of that painting remains the same. So the tarot basically has 72 cards, and angels, of course, every card deck has 44 cards.
Okay.
So if you basically see that your energy will pick a certain card on that particular time when the therapist or the reader is doing your reading, what it is meant for you. What can you do in order to change your life situations for betterment? So I do not think, and I haven't seen anyone getting duped by doing a card reading. It's very much open, aware, and in a very much transparent state.
That's the thing about it. You do not get duped in this specific term because you are so generic that it may apply to one aspect of your life, it may apply to another aspect of your life. So you're so vague and generic that nobody can question you back in that context that this is what you said and this was actually wrong. But you might comprehend it in another context of your life. The tarot card reader was saying.
Tarot cards are very specific, Akshay.
Okay.
If you ask specific questions, it gives you specific answers.
Okay.
It is for you to accept it or leave it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you take an advice. There are many people who give you advice. Your father gives you an advice. Your teacher gives you an advice. You may or may not listen to it always. So if I have a question, should I go in for this particular relationship? Should I go in for this job? Tarot will tell you exactly.
Okay.
However, you choose to leave it, or you may choose to, continue with that. Yeah.
So that's the interesting thing. You have a choice whether to go with it or to let it go. Like when you're in a relationship, it's very the card says it's not good for you. It's very poisonous, but eventually you feel like you have the confidence to make it work, to make it right.
Yes.
So what is the deal about it? Are you actually correct in those terms to fight against the whatever the energy has shown you right now? Is it right to fight it and go against it, or how?
So you can ask a question: what can be done if I need to go with this relationship?
Okay.
What can be done if I need to stay in this job? I understand that my boss is not good. I understand that this job is not best for me. However, I do not have the courage to go and start my own work, my own business. Mm-hmm. What can be done? So these cards definitely will guide you also. See, understand, we are made up of 5 elements, which are earth, water, air, fire and space. Alright, now if we talk about the earth element, we need, money to sustain. We need a house to live in. We need a career. So basically, if you would see tarot cards, the pentacles are the earth element. Okay? Then talking about the fire element, which is your passion, your career, your business, is the wands element. And talking about your thoughts, which are basically in air, they are the swords element. Then emotions which are flowing in your life are the cups element. So when you pick up these cards, you see these elements in different combinations. So say if you have a lot of fire, what will happen? You may burn yourself. You need a sustained amount of water element also. So a well-read, well-practiced reader will be able to guide you properly by telling you what is happening, in your life right now and what can be done.
Now that makes much more sense to me, trying to balance out the energy that you currently carry and, how it might lead you to. But if you're not well read on this subject, and many times there are half-read experts out there, so you need to maybe how do you differentiate between a half-read expert and a well-read expert?
Yes. I think these days, people are very aware. Whenever we go to a doctor, don't we check what is the...
is that lady authentic who sits in Sector 18 and the mall maybe?
Abhi mujh pe.
Is that lady authentic? Because I'm not sure.
Mall mein kabhi bhi reading mat karo.
Okay.
Never.
Okay.
Never, please. See, you need to see the certifications. Abhi theek hai?
That's good.
people doing that to me and he asked the question.
Huh?
Because I went to mall.
Please never. How can you do a
I
reading in the
did
mall?
that, yeah, I did that. So that's why,
No, I'm curious, yeah. I have to know how.
I was not satisfied at all. I'm interested. Then only we talk about it.
See, they basically are sitting to create business out of it. And probably, I don't know, we need to really set this out. ये मेरा भी pain point है. We कैसे करें पता नहीं. People need to check the certifications. अच्छा, I thought we.
Come on, address it.
So basically, we need to check we need to do the due diligence of the therapist, of the reader. We need to see where the person has been certified. Who is their teacher? How many years of practice?
Exactly. If you're going to a half expert practitioner, it's like fooling yourself again in the trap that you were trying to escape out of.
Absolutely. You have to check. You cannot just go to a mall and get a reading done. Or even if you're going to a mall and getting a reading done, it can be a very generalized reading. How can you open up, in front of a person in a mall with your private details?
Exactly.
You cannot.
And it doesn't feel right, the mall is not the place where you discuss these kind of things, and it's a place where you have certain different kind of things to think about. Have you ever heard about Mesmer?
Oh yes, Frank F. Mesmer.
Yeah.
Basically, is coming in the line of, one of the pioneers in the science of hypnotherapy. He's the one who started Mesmerism. And there was Dr. John Elliotson and S. Dial. Based on Mesmerism, they did 1834 surgeries in World War I.
Just based on Mesmerism?
Yes. So Mesmerism is a very, very powerful technique.
How do you perform a surgery?
So, what happens when a surgery is being done? You give anesthesia, right? Now, hypnoanesthesia is one of the most practiced areas of hypnosis. So, when you work with just sedating your mind, not with chemical inducing your brain, which of course can be fatal at times, you can just train your mind to go into a state of trance where you do painless surgeries. So hypnobirthing is also one such areas where worldwide women are now practicing. In fact, in the West, in US, an anesthetist is also a hypnoanesthetist.
Really?
Yeah, and then you can perform. So mesmerism is a great contribution to the science of hypnosis.
Interesting. I actually was reading about him and came to know that he was almost treating about 1,000 patients each day.
Yes.
And that created such a concern or a fear amongst other practitioners that they eventually had to, just bail out and then maybe subside it, or maybe try to compress it, contain it, whatever. But they eventually were not really in favor of
So
this
Akshay, mesmerism basically is coming in from animal magnetism, which is shamanism also, which people practice it as shamanism in today's world of new age therapies, they say. So when you work with animal magnetism, you work with elemental energies, which to a lay person is working with the power of the wolf, working with the power and the strength of the lion, working with the cooling energies of the moon.
That's why they wear all the accessories, all the
so they drum, drumming and all. Okay, working with the moon energies, making certain sounds, and that basically mesmerizes. What is mesmerism basically? It is just taking you into a world of complete trance. Yeah, it's like that.
So again, I was asking about that. You talk about how was the criticality of that time. I mean, eventually, is this not going to come up again as a challenge from other practitioners? There's a theory that basically weed is prohibited all across India because it has a lot of medicinal qualities. Because the West could not really sell their drugs, the companies were not making fortune. I'm not sure how much truth is there in there, but it's a theory that has been proven pretty that is very well granted or taken into account. Similarly, if there's a lot of this work done on hypnosis, is there a point where it might come across a situation similar to how the concerned individuals in terms of weed are talking about?
Okay. So there was this client of mine who lives in the US, and he's a student, and we work together on the area of drugs. He said, you know what, ma'am, I started with doing weed when I was just starting my school, finishing my school and starting my college. And now my friends have asked me to try LSD. And when I tried LSD, I went into a state of trance wherein the whole life was in front of me, and I had this supernatural experience. And what is this?
I've heard about they see colors in a very fluid form.
Yes.
And the way you see this coffee color curtain, it's going to melt down into the wall, and I think that's how I've understood. They've told me about. I mean, that's as far as I've understood. Though they say that it is something you have to experience to get the total clarity about it, but you might not get it. But this is how they.
So these are basically hallucinogenic agents which you use it externally. So if I would ask you or tell you rather, let me ask you, where is the most widely used ganja or charas in our India?
Widely used. There are a couple of places I can think of.
One time in a particular place, Kumbh Mela.
The Kumbh Mela, definitely.
Okay, so in the Kumbh Mela, it's almost about 200,000 tons of ganja. Imagine, it's a huge amount.
It was transported over there.
They use it, absolutely.
200,000 tons?
Tons of ganja. You need to understand that it's not for, misusing it. It's just taking into a trance and bum bum bole. So basically they are spiritualists in a hurry. Okay? Now we need to understand that these external hallucinogenic agents basically alter chemicals in your brain. Okay?
The THC is released in your brain.
Absolutely. So if you need to go into that state, why not go to a therapist in a controlled environment? Okay? And then work with the areas of your life where you need to work. If you're very stressful, if you're in depression, if you are down with anxiety, why not just work on those areas of life with a hypnotherapist?
Absolutely, I'm down with that. I'm absolutely down with that. But my question again is since this is a lost knowledge that we are regaining.
Yes,
basically,
yes.
this is a lost knowledge that we are regaining. And because we've been struggling for so long with the basic fooding habits, and to fill our stomachs, basically, we've been struggling for such a long while. We haven't been able to think of this and grasp it as a knowledge of the other sense. But now it is coming into picture, and it is spreading out on a very massive level to every general being there is. So once we got the consciousness of the utilization of all these practices and therapies and how I deal with it, so the other businesses are going to go down, and as I was saying that there has been a lot of fight back for the, just like the weed stuff we're talking about, is there a fight back against this meditational practices? Has there been anything in the community that you might have faced a backlash on in terms of practice?
Never, I have never ever felt that way. With the people whom I have connected, or with the general masses with whom I am saying, I see that meditation is one such practice which is widely spread. And definitely I always call spiritualist in a hurry if you are using an external hallucinogenic agent. So what is important is going into a state where you find your internal self. So I think we need to educate people.
But drug companies are losing money.
Yeah, absolutely they are.
So there's going to be a fight back.
Why? Why do we need to think that way? Because we need that certain amount of weed to prepare medicine.
Not weed basically. I'm just talking about drug as in general drug. For your anxieties, for your stress. there's a lot of drugs available. So that ways.
That is always there, that is always there. We need to educate, of course, because these drug companies, pharmaceutical companies have actually created a mass fear. That's how even cancer is widespread. You can definitely cure cancer, in a state of complete awareness. Cancer is just stored anger. So definitely this education is very, very important to the masses.
That really makes sense. The lump of cancer and the lump of energy, that I can really relate to that. It's
stored
really
anger.
Depressed and, very, very acute thought.
Absolutely.
Very sad as well.
It is also important to know, Akshay, that we need to tell the world that every science and every medicine has some role to play. So allopathy has a major role to play. If say someone is cut up, or if someone is having a heart attack, we need to go to the doctor, we need to take that medicine. It's just the ethical way the pharmaceutical company needs to practice. It's just the ethical way the doctor needs to practice. So we need to build on that education and value system. Therefore, an allopath is very, very important. And what we are talking out are complementary therapies. I don't also call them alternative therapies. I call them complementary therapies. So if we work them along, it will give multifold results. So if there is a person who is visiting a psychiatrist, taking a medicine, if there is a person who is basically going to a doctor taking a diabetic medicine, we complement with clinical hypnotherapy. We don't ask them to stop the medication. After some time, when the thoughts and the emotions are cured, the condition is cured. So we need to understand it deeply.
All right. So right now, I understand this situation is pretty much not against the big businesses so far. It is on a very, I understand it's on a good level, but not in a very mass level that it may impact their business altogether. So,
not at all. Not at all.
It's this understanding is very unknown so far, apparently.
It's just the human, mind creating fears and the media spreading fears, which is creating this myth.
Basically. So you have just spoken about a little bit about shamanism, and shamanism is basically, as far as I've understood, I've read a little bit about it, about one of the authors, Miguel Ruiz. Have you read about him?
Yeah, but I do not practice shamanism, so this is one area.
I've read about him, and he, as far as I've understood, there are certain areas in Argentina, Peru, where there are certain...
Yes, they do practice.
They practice it.
So as I said that I do not practice shamanism, would not be in a good space to answer these questions.
All right. So what are your favorite books, that you prefer or generally recommend somebody who is initially interested in this subject?
So one of my favorite book, which is life-changing, is An Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda. It is a must-read for every single person. And definitely it will change your life. The second book every person should read is Bhagavad Gita. So everyone must read Bhagavad Gita to get in to understand what is life all about and how do we conduct ourselves in life.
Okay. So what was your biggest takeaway from Bhagavad Gita?
Biggest takeaway from Bhagavad Gita is definitely that we need to focus upon our karma, our work. We need to understand that this is the very moment wherein I'm working, I'm putting in my effort and forget about the results. And we are too attached to the results. Too attached. So we need to understand the difference between Kriya and Karma. So this is one thing. Kriya is something which I do at this moment without any intention. I'm just doing because this is what I need to do at this moment of time. So at this moment of time, I'm giving an interview here. All my energies are focused here. And I'm doing it to the fullest. But in case I start to think, oh, what is going to happen? What result is this going to bring in the society? All of that, whether every word which I'm speaking is not very powerful or not good, then it becomes a karma, and then I'm attached to the result. So the biggest takeaway is just do Kriya, just be focused on the present moment, and I'm sure it will bring fruits automatically.
It's a wonderful thought. Alright, so what else have you got in your pipeline for the upcoming year?
Say it again.
What's in your pipeline for the upcoming year? Any certifications that any further, anything left out? I don't know if anything is left. Right.
So, in the coming years, there is only one agenda, is to create a revolution to bring about a balance in mind, body and spirit, and to bring in eventual happiness. So, I'm doing a lot of webinars because there is still, the reach has to be increased. So, doing in a lot of webinars, people who are not able to come to workshops and training sessions in various cities, we need to provide them at their space.
Again, I have to, sorry to interrupt you. I forgot to mention about the healing awesome. Awesome. How do you pronounce it?
Oh, the healing ocean. OSHUN, ocean.
Ocean. Okay.
Ocean jo hai?
Okay. OCEN. That's how I used to.
OCEAN. I put it at OSHUN.
Oh, okay.
The
The
reason.
healing ocean. I was confused about how to pronounce that exactly. I mean, is it like ocean, like something related to Osho or something? I'm not sure.
This is a very good question. People usually ask me. So the Healing Ocean is my organization, which is a wellness training organization, training and coaching organization out of Gurgaon. OSHUN is Ascended Master.
Okay.
She is a goddess from Africa.
Okay.
So Goddess Ocean from Africa is the goddess of fertility. Is the goddess of water, is the goddess of bringing in new life. And the Healing Ocean is a space wherein we bring all the alternative and complementary therapies together.
Okay.
We make you fertile,
Okay.
so that you flourish, you grow, and you spread your wings and surge yourself in complete joy and accomplish what you want to.
Absolutely. That's what we are all striving for. Thank you so much for joining us, and sorry to keep you guys waiting.
You're welcome, Akshay. Thank you.
I really enjoyed this session. It was a pleasure
Thank you.
having to get this done. Abhishek, really appreciate you having being here. Payal, thank you for being here again. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, Akshay. Pankha chala do.